Bring up the agenda. So welcome everyone. I'm Melissa O'Hara, a Women United member on the LeadHERS committee, and I'm really excited to be with you here today. Just a quick overview of the program. We're not going to start Marianne at 12:10. We'll start her just a little bit later than that. But what we will be doing is a little bit of an overview about Women United, some program content. Marianne will be our keynote speaker today, so we're excited to hear from her. And then we'll just end with some upcoming events and closing. So with that, Jen, let me turn it over to you.
Great, thank you. So everyone, my name is Jen Shanley. I am currently the chair of Women United, and I have the honor to present to you the LeadHERS committee. So these are our dedicated volunteers, as well as Emily Collins, who is our senior manager of affinity groups at United Way. I'm in here to support Women United. So we have Melissa, who just introduced herself. We also have Sandy and Marianne. And these individuals are putting in a tremendous amount of work to provide us this amazing content. And they do that twice a year. So please look out for any of our other events that are coming up. But thank you. I just want to thank all of these individuals for the work that they've done. Now, a little bit about Women United. So Women United is a global effort of more than 70,000 women. We have individuals that span across 165 communities across 6 countries. And together we have raised $2 billion, that's a B, billion, since 2002 on a global level. And our local Women United serves the greater Hartford region, and we are focusing on raising funds to close the financial gaps for local women and their families. You can go to, there we go. So our local Women United focuses on 4 issues that are most needed in the community and that our members care about for our community members. This is women's empowerment, financial capability, asset building opportunities, and family sustaining employment. And our 2 key objectives for our local Women United is first, ensuring that adults can obtain and retain jobs that offer family-sustaining wages and career advancement. Our second objective is developing the ability for individuals and families to increase their financial capability to achieve both short and long-term goals. So if you have any questions about Women United, feel free to reach out to me, anyone on the LeadHERS, and as well as Emily. You'll definitely find some answers, and we'll always help get you engaged where you want to be if that's your goal. And I think I'm now passing it over to Maura and or Kate.
Thanks, Jen. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. And thank you so much to our presenters and our planning team for offering this great content. I just wanted to share a little bit about the ALICE update that was just released by Connecticut United Ways just earlier this month, in fact. So for those who are maybe a bit newer, just as a quick reminder, our ALICE report, ALICE is the United Way coin acronym that stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained, Employed. This is a study on financial hardship that we typically do every 2 years, but on the off year, we will often do an update. This update, this is an update year, but I feel that it's important for us to talk about it because it's really our first true look at the ripple effect of the pandemic and the impact that that's had on families in Connecticut. And this is important because this is really what Women United is all about. You all raise funds to support our financial stability programs. And we know that a growing number of people in Connecticut are unable to make ends meet, are unable to afford the basics. And so really just wanted to take a minute to show you all the impact that you can have, right, on this growing number of families struggling through your membership and through your support of Women United events. So what this report shows us, right, is that 39% of households are living below the federal poverty level. we see that this continues to increase, right, with each report we do, and especially since the pandemic in 2020. You can go ahead to the next slide.
Hey, Maura, this is Neelam.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask a quick question. Is there any data on the trending of these percentages over time? How has that gone up or
Yes.
down?
Yeah, so we'd be happy to share that with you. So we started this report in 2013 was the first year that we did it. We actually saw our numbers in our region go down a bit. And at this point, they're staying a little bit flat, but having a slight increase. And we're seeing that. And I do think that is attributed to the ripple effect of what we saw during the pandemic, right? So when we got our first round of data last year, and just a reminder, this data, so that it's apples to apples, is always 2 years old. But our research team in Northern New Jersey has applied an Alice Essentials Index that gives us a look at, with current inflation and cost of living, like what do we think the real picture is today in 2024. But what we were seeing in our region was that, the numbers were trending down a bit, a couple percentage points, but that's good progress, right? When you're looking at population level challenges. And then now from 2020 onward, we continue to see that number creeping back up again, more similarly to where it was, right, when we first started doing this work in 2013 to look at those numbers. I'd be happy to provide more information on that, but that's kind of the trajectory that we've noticed since starting this report in 2013.
Yeah, right. Thank you for sharing that insight.
So we have, right, the hard numbers of here's what the data tells us, and we have what our families are telling us, right? So you can see that 19% of people are nervous, anxious, or on edge nearly every day, right, due to their financial situations. 58% of respondents said that it's difficult to afford the basics. 40%, right, experienced housing cost increase, and 62% do not have savings for an emergency. That's, of course, a key feature and characteristic of Alice households, is that they are asset limited. So when we talk about these thresholds and the survival budgets, folks are not having the additional resources to save for that rainy day, to save for that car repair or home repair, or a myriad of other things that can come up in our day-to-day lives. Next slide, please. So a little bit about our work around Alice. So a few things I just want to make sure you all know, right, as Women United members, is that, you are making a difference, right? So even though we're seeing a increase in the trends, right, there are many, many things that have impacted the financial picture of families in Connecticut. Our cost of living continues to go up. Every year we see that threshold and that survival budget for that family of 4 or that single adult go up, and our wages are not keeping track, right? But we have some amazing programs that are working to help families who are experiencing kind of living in that middle, right? Of course, we're helping people who are living in extreme poverty, make sure they get assistance, make sure they're getting it connected to benefits, and then working on how do we increase your income? How do we help you think about some financial goals and work to help you be able to achieve them? But for everyone who's kind of living in that middle between the federal poverty level and that threshold, who may not be qualifying for assistance, but have need, right? Who are struggling, who are walking that financial tightrope. The programs that you all are supporting, like the Financial Opportunity Center, and expanding that model, are hugely important, right? Because we're seeing families who are coming in and saying the job I had before COVID doesn't exist anymore, or it's not something that works for my family and I any longer. So we heard a story at PowerUp the First 2 years ago about someone who went to the financial center, got career counseling, and opened her own mobile notary business, something that's so needed, something that we all, need in a pinch and never seem to know where to find it, and has really charted her own course to say, now I can increase my income, I can work a schedule that works for my family, right? And I can set financial goals and work towards savings and have those savings matched by Women United. these are hugely important stories to tell. The data is one important piece of it, and it just shows that we need to keep going and we need to do more. But through what you all have done, you really are making an impact on these individual households, certainly in our region. And those financial opportunity centers are really a main way that we're able to support Alice. What we've heard through our design sessions are that we need more hubs. We need a place where someone can go and get connected to all of the things that they need. And that was really the idea behind these financial centers, which Women United helped to start. So you are making a huge impact. Wanted to share a little bit of the data with you. Don't want to take too much time, but do know that you can go to our website. You can learn more about what's happening in your town. We have town by town snapshots that show the number of Alice households, and it's just a great resource to know what's happening in the communities across our state.
Thanks, Maura. So, so again, this is Melissa, and we're really thrilled to, first of all, offer this LeadHERS series. It's just one of the ways that being part of a Women United membership allows us to support the community that we're part of. And what we try to do is bring topics of interest. So if afterwards today, our amazing speaker, Marianne Cruz, you have other topics you'd like to hear from, please get in touch with us. But the topic today is about powering up your purposeful productivity, a very alliterative topic. And with us today is Marianne Cruz. And not only is she a member of the LeadHERS series, but on her own is a visionary behind the organization Masterful CEO. Her team empowers organizations to create space for their vision, elevate their brand and their client experience, and really optimize their operational processes. She's got over 25 years experience, and she is a real master at business strategy and execution. Most recently, she actually earned a Harvard certificate and specialization in strategy focused on sustainability, business strategy, and global business, all of topics which are very near and dear to us as Women United members. So with no further ado, I want to turn it over to Marianne to bring that amazing topic to us. Welcome, Marianne. And you're on mute.
Here we go. Thank you. What I'll do is I will share my screen so that we can get started. Let's do that. Okay. And there you go. You should see it. Awesome. So thank you, Melissa, for the warm welcome, but also thank you, United Way, Women United, for the opportunity to present today. I truly believe in your mission, vision, and values and see the impact. So I'm truly honored to be here today. All right, during our time together, there's a lot that we're going to cover. We're going to be very productive. So we're going to define what it is to be living on autopilot. We'll declutter a little bit. We'll define purposeful productivity. We'll do a life assessment, explore your productive day, simplify your to-do list, make shifts for productivity and impact. And then you will have a template so that you can customize your productivity strategy. And I know it's only 30 minutes, so we will be succinct and concise. And to get started, actually, one thing that you'll need is 2 sheets of paper. And as Melissa has already warmly introduced me, just know that I am a person of action. And so that's why I'm asking you to take some time to just participate and be productive. So the first thing that we'll do is actually define what does it mean to be living on autopilot, right? How many of you actually know that you are guilty of living on autopilot? Anyone? You can put it in the comments. I see a lot of hands up. And if you're unsure, that's fine. We'll go through that as well. But when you're living on autopilot, you're basically doing things without focusing on it, right? Without knowing that it's even happening. So behaviors associated with living on autopilot include waking up at the same time, driving the same route, cooking the same foods, thinking of actions and motions that are seemingly meaningless, right? You unconsciously perform tasks. And I have to say, I was guilty of this when I worked corporate, where I would get to work and walking through the doors, and I was wondering, how the heck did I even get here? Right? Or when I got home, oh, how many stop signs or stoplights did I actually stop at and not even realize it? Right? Because you're in this mode. There's forgetfulness, just as I said, in regards to the root. Predictable daily routine. You have deep thinking. So even though you may have a conversation with your spouse or a loved one, you are there presently, you're physically there, but you ask the person to repeat themselves over and over again, right? Because you're not mentally in tune with what they're saying. Time passes by without any meaningful motions or progress. Then you say yes to everything, just because it's automatic, right? Even if it's something that you don't want to. You feel stuck in your current living or working situation. You can't seem to let go. You may not be reaching your goals. You dread the day ahead. So on that Sunday, prior to Monday rolling around, you're already dreading it, right? So consequences of living on autopilot include stagnation in your personal, professional, or business growth, decreased creativity, strained relationships because you're currently not present, lack of feeling fulfillment, and increased stress, right? Again, who can relate? Who actually now knows that they are truly on autopilot? I tend to be on autopilot occasionally, even though I am an entrepreneur and have control. It's just inevitable. But we will go through some exercises to help so that you are currently present and you are getting rid of those meaningless motions and being purposefully productive. So here's the first exercise. The first thing that you'll need to do is to declutter, right? So I want you to take a minute and answer the following questions. The first thing will be, what exactly are some of the tasks that you know that you do on autopilot? The second one is, are these tasks essential to your work, business, or life or day, right? If it's not essential, is it something that can be automated, delegated, outsourced, or eliminated? And then if they are essential, is there anything that you can change about them? Okay. And I will actually put my timer on just so that we have a minute and then we'll move on.
And Marianne, while you're doing your timer, can you also comment on visual clutter, not just mental clutter, like how that relates to this?
Oh, yes, we will get into that.
Thanks.
We will actually do 2 more exercises within our time together that will help with the visual clutter. So we'll go through how space is important, as well as, mindset. And I find that sometimes when we're decluttering, it really is important to identify those things that you're holding on to that you may not necessarily need to, right? So if you have a team of people and their strengths are doing presentations, for example, you can delegate that. Okay, and we'll stop. All right. Next, we will define what purposeful productivity is. And I promise at the end, if you have any questions, I will answer them. Feel free to put them in the chat in the meantime. Okay. So when someone's living on autopilot, it's difficult for them to be productive because essentially you're not present, right? So when thinking of productive, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Typically, it's that to-do list, right? It's, okay, how many things do I need to get done? So productivity is a simple concept. At any given level of input, there's an output that comes back. And purposeful productivity is more than just simple inputs and outputs. It's a way of living that involves aligning your actions and tasks with a sense of purpose and direction. So it's about doing what's most important to you rather than just doing more. Okay. So here's some ways of incorporating purposeful productivity. First is setting mindful goals for your personal, professional, or business growth, and understanding how each task contributes to those goals. Next is focusing on 20% of the tasks that matter the most and spend less time on those things that aren't as important. Third is crafting a routine that nourishes your creativity and motivates you. Mindset is key, and being able to be motivated is crucial when it comes to being productive. So it's also essential to make time for self-care, sleep, and mindfulness, allowing yourself to be present, right? And then the last one that I'll share is acknowledging and celebrating your successes along the way. So in order to achieve purposeful productivity, you must first assess your life and areas of focus, which is what we'll do next. Again, I know I'm going fairly fast, but if you have questions or any comments, please put it in. All right. So next, we're going to focus on and identify, okay, what are the areas of focus that you really need to hone in on? We'll do 5 minutes, and usually this is a list your 10 items that you want to focus on. But for today's purpose, let's just do 3 to 5. And what you'll do is on the left, you'll write down, okay, these are the areas that I really am interested in, that I really value and are really purposeful to me. And then you'll rate the importance. 1 is, okay, it's insignificant. 10, it's extremely important. Then we'll rate the current satisfaction. Just because it's important doesn't mean that you're necessarily doing anything with it, right? So we need to know, okay, how satisfied are you in this area? And then lastly, just any notes, right, that you have. And I'll share one example, and the example is health and fitness for me, right? So it's really important. It's not top priority for me, but it is important to me. And in regards to satisfaction, it's a 2. And the reason why it's a 2 is because I gained 30 pounds this year. And while I've started to exercise, I'm not consistent, right? So I don't see the results, therefore I'm not motivated. And it's just this cycle. So I know that, okay, based on my areas of focus and the importance of it, I need to go back and revisit that. Make sense? Okay. So I will put 3 minutes on. And then I'll just ask when everyone's done, if you can just put in the comments what you've realized your top 3 categories are in regards to the things that you'd like to prioritize. Okay. Now I feel bad saying stop, but you want to continue, so you can come back to this. Now that you know that there's specific areas, right, that you'd like to focus on, what we're going to do is we're going to envision your productive day. So if you'd like to participate, what I'm going to ask you to do is close your eyes. And then you're just going to take a deep breath in. Hold it for 3 seconds. And then release. And then you can do it one more time. Deep breath in. Hold for 3. And release. Now with your eyes still closed, I want you to envision your productive day. What does your day look like? What are you doing? What are you focused on? What support and resources do you have access to? Take a deep breath in. Hold. Release. How do you feel at the end of the day? All right, now feel free to open your eyes, and I want you to write down what are the top 2 to 3 things that you achieved on that productive day. And feel free to share it as well. All right, so remembering that a purposeful, productive day isn't filled with busyness is crucial, right? Which is why the next couple of minutes, what we're going to do is we're actually going to simplify and prioritize and help you prioritize your to-do list. So I know it seems like a lot, but we'll get through it. So as women, we often have a great deal of responsibilities, right? Therefore, being able to quickly understand what to focus on is critical. So for this, I typically leverage the impact effort matrix, which is also known as a prioritization matrix. Say that fast. On the left, what you'll do is of your paper, you will identify the items that you'd like to prioritize. That can be projects, tasks, ideas. And then on the right, what you'll do is you're going to create 4 quadrants. And we're going to evaluate this based on impact and effort. Okay. So impact, think of, okay, we want positive impact. We want positive outcomes of implementing whatever it may be. And then effort is, okay, what are the resources, times, and complexity required to implement the project, the task, or the idea? So on the bottom left, you'll have low, low, which is low impact, low effort. The bottom right, you'll have low, high, which is low impact, high effort. The top left, you'll have low, high, which is low effort, high impact. And then the top right is high, high, which is both high impact and high effort. Okay. And so what I'll do is actually, even if you just get started by adding what the project ideas are and what you have on your to-do list on the left, I'll put 2 minutes on the clock just so that you can get started on that.
And Marianne, can I share just an aha that I'm having while we're doing this?
Yes.
So one of the things I put down was more cardio and strength training, just to make sure if this is kind of jiving with what you're talking about here. And I always feel like I've got to do this big workout, like I've got to do strength training and I've got to be down there for an hour, working out. And what came to me is I've got this 7-minute strength training app on my phone. And if I did that during commercials, Like that could be low effort, but high impact and could be a quick win.
Exactly. Exactly. And I love that example because it also would allow you to be consistent.
Right.
Okay. So, once you've analyzed this, right? So this is something that you can do on a weekly basis or even on a daily basis. But at first, it can be a little bit overwhelming. The more you do it, the easier it gets in regards to prioritizing and really honing in on, okay, what are those quick wins that I can handle today or this week, right? But it's beyond just making the list. Now you also need to focus on it and take action. So we're going to talk about a little bit in regards to, okay, what are some of the shifts that need to take place in order for you to learn how to leverage your time? So most of us think we're productive, and we may feel that we're productive every single day, right? Because we're checking off the boxes. But what I want you to think of is when you're purposefully productive, it's leading a life that's in alignment, which means and begins that it's beyond the to-do list, right? It's how you invest your time. It also includes how you invest your money, your energy, and other resources. So here are a few examples with respect to the shifts that need to happen. So the first one is your to-do list, right? It consists of tasks that are intentional, align with your personal vision, mission, and values. The areas of focus get you to the next level in life. And the activities on your list are those that motivate and inspire you. They're not the ones that just simply deplete you. Okay. Your time and schedule on a weekly basis, you're blocking time on your calendar for yourself to execute on these new ideas, reconnecting with others, or even doing things that you enjoy. And then the third one that I'll share is goals. So often people find goals, they're able to say what their goal is, but being able to execute it is a little bit harder because they don't envision all the resources that they need or the time. They don't set aside the time, and they also don't break it out into smaller steps. So my recommendation is you take that large goal, you break it down into smaller action steps, you put target dates, and you identify what the resources are that you need in order to achieve this, okay? And beyond the planning shifts, there's other variables that affect being productive. So here's a few more tips. And there's 10 here, and I feel that everyone's going to have something different that they need to focus on. So take a look at the section that's, relevant to you. And then here are the 3 things that I find impact productivity the most. So the first one is time. Time management is crucial for productivity, right? So manage your focus, prioritizing your task, delegating, scheduling less meetings, and actually time to work on the execution piece, and collaborate, right? Again, to the point where you don't have to do it all on your own. The next one is team. So teams are essential. So ensuring that you're leveraging your team and their skill set appropriately, which I mentioned earlier. When you're delegating to someone, ensure that you're setting clear priorities, communicate effectively, and hold meetings with work sprints. And if you're not familiar with work sprints, I'll mention that, or I'll describe it, define it in a few minutes. So also using productivity tools and building team trust can encourage a group to get closer and be more productive. And then the last one is systems and processes, incorporating systems and processes that simplify your tasks, streamline your workflows, increase efficiencies, ensure quality and consistency. There's lots of apps and there's lots of software out there for project management and for accountability. And going back to work sprints, this is something that you can do for yourself or your team. Lots of us as leaders, we will hold a team meeting, right? To be able to provide them with the objective and directions. But what we do afterwards is we say, okay, now go on your own and schedule some time to connect and do the work, right? How beautiful would it be to go into that meeting, schedule it for 30 minutes, be there for 15 and say, okay, these are the objectives, these are the deliverables that need to happen, and then have the team come together and actually start the work for the next 15 minutes. Then they can go back and, coordinate schedules, but at least they're already working on it and feel as if there's some type of impact already. Make sense? Okay. So here's one of my favorite quotes from Benjamin Franklin, which is lost time is never found again, right? Once you've lost that time, there is no way of reclaiming it. So you have to be very mindful and very strategic in how you utilize it. And so, keeping with time, I hope our time together was hopefully enlightening. So I want to leave you with a productivity strategy and action template that you can use at any given time. And it basically is focused on, okay, your goal is on the top left. You go through and identify all of the tasks that need to be accomplished, the priority, who's responsible, because it shouldn't always be you, the start and end dates, the status, the resources needed, the outcome, and then the notes, right? Because sometimes it may be an idea that you think is going to be fantastic and the outcome is not what you anticipated. But that doesn't mean that it's a complete failure. You can learn from that and then go back again and try it. So that is all I had. I know that when it comes to the presentation, this information will be shared with you. So don't feel like, you need to have everything done right this instance. So I want to congratulate everyone on taking the time to work on your personal, professional, and business development instead of keeping busy, as it's, within our comfort zone to do so. And now that you have an understanding of what you'd like to prioritize and accomplish, I challenge you to get planning and executing. And if you have any questions or you get stuck, feel free to connect with me and I'll take a look at the chat as well.
And Marianne,
Thank you.
we've got about 5 minutes for questions, and I want to make sure we can open it up. I can cover the last stuff in 5 minutes or less. So just open it up for anyone have questions for Marianne, or just observations or reactions to today's content. I have one question, Marianne. You talk, what happens when you're your own worst enemy? So you can do all the planning and the prioritization, but you talked about mindset or how important that is. How do you get out of your own way? Like, you could say all day long, here's what I want to do, healthy eating, and then you're just not eating healthy, or you're just not doing the exercise. So how do you get in front of yourself when you're your worst enemy and being productive?
That's a great question. And that's where the accountability and resources and actually support come in, right? So if you share with me that this is a challenge for you, we can have that conversation and I can say, okay, do you want me to touch base with you on a weekly basis, right? So sharing it with friends, family, or even a team member, they can hold you accountable, right? And not, you don't even have to say, can you hold me accountable? Most of the time when you share something with someone, they will come back and ask, hey, how are you doing with X, Y, and Z? When I started my journey for the Harvard certification, I shared it with a few people and never, explained that I had finished it. And a month, actually, it was a year later, a few people asked me, did you ever finish that? So the more you share, the better off. The other thing is that there's lots of things that we don't know that we suffer from, right? So fear of success, fear of failure, perfectionism, right? Perfectionism is toxic to productivity because you continue going over the motions and doing it until it's perfect. Well, perfect to you is not the same to someone else, right? Your first version may be perfect to someone else.
What other tips in terms of mindset? Because I'm seeing a lot in the chat, which is like, yeah, that sometimes, and I saw heads nodding, like how do you shift your mindset, or what are some other tips or techniques that have helped?
Actually, it's getting to the core of it, right? And asking yourself why. So, for example, if you're working on something and you say, okay, well, I need to do another draft. I need to do it again. Why? Why do you need to do it again? What's not right about it, right? The other thing is asking somebody else for their opinion. But I always say be careful, because depending on what they, consider in regards to being perfect, now that you have two different people's opinions in regards to what perfect is. The other thing is giving yourself and being compassionate to yourself just as you would a friend, right? We are super hard on ourselves because we're seeking to be successful, right? In some instances, or in some instances, we're seeking validation. So being able to love yourself, acknowledge your strengths, and look at the weaknesses as opportunities to connect with somebody else, right? That has that zone of genius is okay. We don't have to do it all. We don't have to know it all. It's all in community. It's all in support. It's all in resources.
And I think that's a great point, Marianne, because from a productivity standpoint, I'll use myself as an example. Let's say I got 20 things done today, and maybe 2 things I didn't get done. I would spend more time kind of beating myself up about the 2 things I didn't do, as opposed to celebrating or congratulating myself for the 18 things that I did get done during the day. And so I think that goes into that self-appreciation a little bit more, of taking a moment to pause and be like, no, I got a lot done today. I was very productive. And instead of ending the day sad or upset or disappointed, I should celebrate the great things that were accomplished.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you think of every day, just like, okay, what's the one thing that if I complete it today, I rock, right? You'll see that you have a lot more wins on a weekly basis.
And do those first as opposed to waiting to do them last, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you're procrastinating, ask yourself why, right? Maybe it's something that just doesn't motivate you. Maybe it's difficult for you. That you don't have to do it, right?
Yeah.
Check and see who in your network can help you with it.
Who else has just one more question before we go to our preview of upcoming activities?
I have a comment about someone who put something in the chat about what do they write? Something about the kids and housework and things like that. I found it helpful to show myself grace, right? Because to focus on what season you're in, because it's temporary, and sometimes you're going to be pulled in a direction that is maybe high, I don't know, the high, I'm looking at the impact, high impact, low effort, whatever, the thankless jobs and some of the fill-ins have to be done. And if you can reach out to your village and get help, that would make you feel more, make you feel like more is possible for you and not just some of the tedious stuff, because that's the season you're in.
And
That's a
even
great
outsourcing that, you might not have a team, but I was probably holding on to housework more, and my kids should have been doing more with housework.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, they did a lousy job at it. And so I had to teach them to do it well. So it got worse before it got better. But then, I think when you talk about team, Marianne, it's like the big T team. That could be your family. That could be colleagues.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be a work team.
Right. And that's so true. So at the beginning, as a parent, you want to do it all, but because your spouse or your significant other or somebody else that's helping you doesn't do it the same way as you, it's okay, right? It's fine. You can teach them, you can help them, you can guide them. At the end of the day, as long as, everyone's happy and healthy, it's good.
Well, thank you so much, Marianne. You gave us a lot to think about, and I'm so excited that we'll get the templates to go back and reflect on even more. So thank you so much. Before we wrap up, just a couple of quick highlights of some upcoming events. So the first one is our Red, White, and Celebrate event. It's on November 14th, and it is kind of a preview to our Power of the Purse event. It's a kickoff event. We would really love to see you there. If you are a current table leader or are curious about what table leader is and want to learn more about that, then please join us or reach out to anyone on the Women United team, and we can certainly fill you in on more. Another thing is about how do you get involved? So for a lot of the women members, they want to know, how do I make a difference in my local community? So the first way is United Way Readers. And this is where you actually go and are paired up with a student for an academic year. It's really incredibly rewarding, and having the opportunity to sit, and we know there's a correlation between literacy skills when kids are read to. And so if you have any time availability, we would love to see you as a United Way reader. And then the last one is our VITA volunteers. And so VITA stands for Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. And for those of you who are either interested in taxes or want to learn more, it is an incredibly powerful program. It's where we support people from the Financial Opportunity Center by providing volunteer tax assistance for them. You have to have no experience, none. You have to commit to a 4-hour shift. You will be trained in how to do all of the work. And it's amazingly satisfying. For those of you who want to connect with the people that you serve, this is an amazing way to do it. And we really encourage you to get involved as a VITA volunteer. So with that, we are really thrilled to have you here today. If you have other topics of LeadHERS items that you'd like to hear more about, please tell your friends to join us in the future for this and other Women United events. And we just want to thank you for your time today. And again, thank you to Marianne. A little round of applause and lots of hearts for our speaker today, Marianne. You really did give us a lot to think about, and we truly appreciate it. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right. Have a great afternoon, everyone. It was great seeing you. Thanks for being here.
Bye.
Thank you.